Well, good evening. Happy Tuesday. It's another episode of Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. And I have a new guest this week. I have Sameerah Corporal with me tonight. And I'm telling you, we're going to be talking about elevate your brand. I'm so excited. This is going to be an amazing conversation on tonight. Welcome, lady. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. How are you? I'm doing good
Doing
today.
good. Doing good. Doing good. So I'm trying to get over here so I can make sure, yeah, I can see y'all if y'all have questions and all that kind of thing in the chat as you come into the chat. So I want to make sure I acknowledge anybody that's in there. So let me get over there so I can do that. Okay. Um, So yeah, tonight we're going to talk about elevating your brand. And so I want to start out by sharing so that it all kind of makes sense for our audience, Sameerah, tonight. The thing that I do and how what you do rather, not does, but what you do complements um, the effort. So as a coach and a consultant, number one, I coach people to clarity. So I have clients who come to me who they're doing all kinds of projects. So many of them are writing books. Some of them are doing other projects where it's morphing into a movement. Some of them are getting their vision on paper and just really trying to structure that and get some strategies together to get a plan of action in place. Some of them are preparing to be facilitators, coaches, preparing to do anything from courses to um, curriculums, just all sorts of things. Some of them are just trying to establish SOPs for their business processes. So there are a lot of different things that people are doing, but most in general, that is going to involve some type of graphic design, some type of product, or some type of service. So let's take, for instance, the book writers. So the authors, of course, they're trying to, some of them have their book already written. They kind of know what, their book cover looks like, or they want it to look like, or have some idea. Very few and far and in between do I have clients that don't have clue. From time to time I do, but most times they have some type of idea of what that looks like or what they want it to look like. So during this process in getting them to clarity, I'm also trying to get a feel for what they are visualizing, right?
Mhm.
As that end result, or what it is that we're trying to get to manifestation. So what does that end product look like? What does that vision look like? And so I'm looking for color, I'm looking for, wording, I'm looking for, their style, all of the things that appeal to them. So while it's appealing to them, it also needs to appeal to their customers or their client base, right?
Mhm.
So once that process is completed, then most in general, there's a book cover for that process. There is a marketing package that comes with that service. So that allows them the opportunity to be able then to share that on social media platforms, their email list, their website, whatever mediums that they're using to let people know they have a book coming soon or they're authoring a project, right?
Mhm.
So where you come in is elevating that marketing opportunity, right? So this
Mhm.
is where, and I say this to people all the time, even though you're writing a book, you're also starting a business, right? Because you're wanting people to purchase that book. You're wanting people to find the benefit of having that in their library, whether
Mhm.
that is via a digital form, hard copy form, audio, so forth, so on.
Mhm.
So how it's presented makes a difference
Absolutely.
because sometimes I know I've purchased books sometimes based on the caption, the title, and the subtitle. Sometimes it's the caption, sometimes it's what's on the book cover. It's all kinds of things, or it may be something in the summary of the book. The highlight of the summary just grabbed me. I'm like, okay, I gotta find out what they talking about. So
Mhm.
it's all of these things that you kind of harness in elevating the brand. So I want you to kind of take us through what that looks like. And I think I kind of hit it
Yeah.
close to on the head. But this is where the elevating of the brand comes in, and this is more like the next level of marketing. So yes, you get it out there, but then how do you keep it out there, and
Yeah.
then how do you keep the enthusiasm and draw your customers and client bases in based on the elevation of your brand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you did hit the nail on the head.
I did good. Okay.
I think when we talk about business, a lot of times we talk about like the verbal communication, but
Mm-hmm.
vision is processed way quicker. Visuals are processed way quicker than words, than text,
Okay.
and all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
we live in a digital age, so a lot of the visual communication is sometimes being missed because we're so used to packaging the value and the actual content of like the words and what we're
Mm-hmm.
or the product or whatever it is. So it may be a good product. I don't know if you've ever seen like you've had good food, but you're like, but this doesn't look, whatever. And
Yeah.
now we're fighting for so much attention. There's so many things out here fighting for everyone's attention. The visual part of it has to be on point, because if it's not, then you kind of just get lost in the noise, even though you have the value, you have the product, you have the solution to someone's
Mm-hmm.
problem. They just
Mm-hmm.
don't know because um, it doesn't look like you do, or it doesn't look like the product, or it's not giving the message. The value is not, or the value message or the problem solving message is not being received visually. And so people just
Mm-hmm.
keep going. So, they keep
Yeah.
scrolling, they keep walking, they keep doing whatever. So I think that's a big part of it. And
Yeah.
as you said, once you have the finished product, the marketing, even though the product is there, you're still
Mm-hmm.
fighting for that visual attention and to communicate visually, because you're doing the social media
Right.
marketing, the event marketing, whatever it is, the packaging,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. So I think, again, you hit the nail on the head with, it doesn't just stop with the finished product. That would be nice if it did, but
Absolutely.
you got to fight for the attention. Mhm.
Absolutely. So then we think about the various ways that this comes into play, right? So you think about banners, setups for your booth. So when you go to vend, if you're going to be a vendor at an event, you need to have a brand, right? It needs to be more than just a tablecloth
Yes.
and your products on the table. So that's where our banners come in. That's where our backdrops come in. That's where our tablecloths with branding comes in. So there are a lot of different things that we can do to enhance what we are offering, persons, and what separates and differentiates us, from another vendor. And so this is where, and this is one of the areas that I've even said for myself that I need to, because I have two or three different things that I do, but taking one at a time and just getting everything that I need or want to make sure that whenever I vend, which is few and far and in between, I don't vend very often, but when I do vend, that it stands out, it's set apart
Mhm.
from my counterparts or my competitors or whatever the case may be. And especially if you're doing like if you're doing products, for instance, I'm a crocheter. So when I do vend, most of the times I'm crocheting. But whenever I vend for books, then I have a banner and a backdrop and all of that. Um, and even, certain stands and that kind of thing, and how you're branding that, the type of backdrops that you're doing,
Mhm.
all of the things, just making sure that it coordinates.
Mhm.
So talk about some of the opportunities that really makes a difference when it comes to elevating your brand as a business owner, because these are things that we need to put as a line item in our marketing. So
Absolutely.
marketing is not just social media, it's not just radio and television advertisement, which those are opportunities as well, but this is a part of our marketing budget. So go out, find the websites, the platforms, or whatever that house these items that would help to set your brand apart, from the bags to, the whole nine, so
Mhm.
that there's a complete experience, right? So the
Absolutely.
elevating of your
Absolutely.
brand is not just,
Mhm.
drawing, but it's the experience. For instance, whenever I shop at St. John, how
Mhm.
they give me my receipt,
Mhm.
how they wrap my clothing, how they package my clothing. They don't just put it in a bag and give me my receipt. There's
Mhm.
a process to how they actually package up what I've purchased and
Mhm.
present it to me.
Mhm.
And that's one of the brands that I know that they're very, very, very meticulous about how they present. I don't care if you're at an outlet or if you're at the actual St. John store. And
Mhm.
so it's that kind of thing. The tissue they use, the stickers they use, how they give you your receipt. They don't give you your receipt in your hand. They give you a receipt in a card. It's folded. So it's all of these kinds of things. So especially when we have products to sell, and it's just not services, but especially when we have products, it makes a big difference on how we share that information. So talk to us a little bit about those aspects of elevating our brand.
Yeah, I think the first thing is to know your customer. And I don't think people take this into consideration as much as they should, but knowing your customer, knowing what they want, knowing what they like, knowing how they want to spend their time, why they like your brand. Do they like it
Mhm.
because it's a good product? Do they like it because it's prestige and it's exclusive? Knowing all
Mhm.
those things, so then you understand how to feed them what they want. So if the person who shops at like a discount store is they don't care about all the pretty packaging if price is the value that they're looking for.
Mhm.
But if somebody's looking for something exclusive, then they want all the bells and whistles. They want, the things that are a little bit more out of reach and not attainable. So the first thing is knowing who your customer is and being okay with
Mhm.
that, because sometimes I think we want to be like super luxury. And sometimes it's okay with being, economy. If that's where your product is, then that's where you'll flow, and that's where your business will flow. And that's okay. Like, all of it is okay as long as you're in the right place. As far as the visual part of it, visuals are just cues. So basically,
Mhm.
it's like when you see something, I want you to do something when you see it. I want to evoke an
Mhm.
emotion.
Mhm.
I want to, so there's color, there's theory behind color, and, the colors you choose for your brand. There's different,
Mhm.
colors that um, are attached to maybe like luxury or like calmness. You see a lot of green
Right.
for calm, a lot of black for luxury, like an
Right.
exclusive, white for
Yeah. Yep.
like stuff
Yep.
like that. So energy, like you go into Target, you see the red bullseye. It's like energetic, it's bright, it's all those
Mhm.
things
Mhm.
matter. So that's the first thing, like knowing your customer, knowing who you want to market to. So knowing what drives them. And then as far as like no matter what it is, the driving home the value that they want. So if it's exclusive and they want to show their friends that they have this and the packaging,
Yeah.
all these
Yeah.
things, then you really hone in on that. That's where you spend your
Yep.
money. That's where you put, so like you said, the banners, the packaging, the bags, the all those things, the notes, the thank you cards, the receipt, everything meticulous, if
Mhm.
that's what you want,
Mhm.
if that's what they want. Because basically,
Mhm.
value is determined by the people who are going to purchase it. You
Yeah.
could say it's worth whatever you want if you are the purchaser, but if not,
Right.
then your customer, they determine the value. Not the
Mhm.
sentiment, not like the value of like
Mhm.
time or anything like that, but what they're willing to pay for it. And
Mhm.
so that the way that you post on social media, the visuals, if like say your audience is younger, you don't want to do a lot of long form content. They don't want to see all that.
Mhm.
They want to see reels, they want to see something
Mhm.
quick. So it all depends
Mhm.
on who you're marketing to. They want to
Right.
so that's where I would say you would start with. I think there's today is like the barrier to entry for business is probably the lowest it's ever been. It's so
Yeah.
easy to start. It
Yeah.
does take work, like you said. It's
Mhm.
not,
Mhm.
if it's a department in a corporation, it's probably something you have to do. So if it's a marketing
Yeah.
department, you got to do it. If it's sales,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
really have to do it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it is something that you do have to touch on, but it's still attainable. It's so
Right.
attainable, and you can do it the way that you need to do it for your business.
Okay. So, where I'm going next. So I want, we talking about, visual communication here basically, because people buy with their eyes, even food, everything. We buy clothes with our eyes, shoes, especially, we buy with our eyes. And so if it looks like it's good and it's something we may be interested in, we're going to purchase that, whether there's food, whether there's a car, whether there's clothing, whether there's shoes, whatever. We're enticed by the visual aids that are brought to things. So show us some ways that we can elevate. And we got some folks in the room, so I don't know if y'all can, if y'all don't mind sharing with us maybe some of the industries you all are in. I don't know what kind of let's see if I
I could start with some
can check.
industries.
Okay, all
I
right,
can
well
start with some
go for it.
industries that I've
Go.
worked in. So I'll give those
Okay.
examples. So in my last job, we actually I worked for the city. So we actually started a huge store during Super Bowl time where we would take local designers and put them like in front of like tourism and stuff like that. So like conventions and
Okay.
all that stuff. And so maybe they didn't start with a bigger brand, but because we knew this side of it and we've had experience in small business as well,
Hmm.
we also coached them through um, elevating their brand for a bigger
Okay.
scale. So for like, if you want to do gifts for city events and stuff like that, we'll do that because, you're local and we want to support that. So say for instance, this woman started a business with like they look like bath bombs, but they were for drinks and they were called
Okay.
my drink bombs. So it was like, oh, that's cute, like, and so she, awesome businesswoman. And we ended up having because it's Houston, so the moon landing. So we asked her, like, hey, can you make NASA balls? And so we made NASA balls for the city for a huge like moon landing part. I think it was a 60th anniversary or something. I don't remember. But now she's like in all these stores worldwide. So kind of like that customization of a product, being
Uh-huh.
able to do that, that is one advantage that small businesses have over larger corporations because they're a little bit
Yes.
slower. So we're able
Yes.
to be a little more agile and quick about, making decisions.
Right. Right.
But doing stuff like that, like really honing in on those things and those capabilities, that sets your brand apart. So like if you have a small business that, say I've worked with, one of your clients who has like a prowling business and
Yes.
some product. And so like,
She's on tonight.
is she? Hi.
Yes.
Awesome product, but we were discussing like, making things custom for people because she has people who order, but I'm like,
Yeah,
if you put their name on it and stuff like that, that makes everything special. So that's
absolutely.
kind of like your advantage that you have over these things. So customization is one thing that will help
Mm-hmm.
elevate your brand. Personalization, like the way that you deal with your customer, the experience you
Absolutely.
mentioned,
Yes.
that is
Experience.
it's such a game changer.
Huge. Yes, that's
It's
huge.
such a game changer. And for me, the visual part of it, here's the thing I've learned that people will come to you. If it's not aesthetically pleasing, they may not send more people to you, but they'll come and be loyal to you because they like what
Yeah,
if it
absolutely.
makes them look good too on top of that because it's
Yeah.
visually the service is good, all these they will
Mm-hmm.
send people your way in droves.
Absolutely.
So
Yes,
that's as far as elevating. When you do that, that it attracts more people and the people who can pay for your product or
absolutely.
whatever price point it is,
Yeah,
whoever your customer is, they will send people once you have
absolutely.
those things down.
That is so true.
Mhm,
And I know that to be true because I experience it all the time.
mhm,
So I have clients who are repeat clients. I have clients who send me clients
mhm,
because of the experience that they have. And so it's not just for products, it is true for service. When you serve people well, how you treat them
mhm.
matters. And the end result that they get as a result of your services matters. And when they know that this is what I'm paying for, this is what I'm going to get, it's going to be, under promise, over deliver, and it's going to always be, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be top notch services. So whether you're doing a service or you're doing a product, it doesn't matter as long as you know that your service matters, how you package that product, how you package that service, and how you deliver that service, and how you treat your clients. So, as a matter of fact, I think my client, what one of the things I was saying, when you have this opportunity, especially, in small places, you may normally sell by the dozen, or you may normally sell so many pieces, of product in one package or whatever. Maybe go to, three or four, because somebody may want that for a plane ride, or they may be interested in, three or four, but not a
Mhm.
whole dozen, but you can still profit off of that because you can have volume with the smaller packaging and people still, get the flavor, they get the quality and everything of the product. And then you never know, that may lead to, a volume, order of 1,000,
Mhm.
quantity or whatever. You just never know because a person had the ability to purchase on that level. And so there's so many different things that you can do, to your point, to attract your client, to attract your customers, and still meet the need while servicing them well as well. So here again, I'm going forward. Show us some visual communication. You got to show the people some examples tonight. Let me see any questions in the chat. Thank y'all for engaging tonight. I see you all are engaging. Thank you so much for being on and engaging in the conversation. We appreciate it. So we're gonna see some examples tonight. And then if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely put them in the chat, and we'll pull those questions.
Okay, since Evangeline is on, can we ask her if we could display her wonderful business?
So Evangeline, is it okay that does Sameerah have permission to
I could just show
display
your branding, just show your
display
little
some of your
stuff,
branding
and then you guys can buy some
examples?
lanes.
Absolutely, Keisha. Thank you for being on. Evangeline, give us
Well,
permission.
I'll wait for her, but
We're
okay.
gonna wait for your permission.
Let me see.
She may have stepped away, or she said yes.
Ah, yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Yay, I'm excited. She said certainly yes.
Okay, let me see.
Okay.
So,
She
so,
said, I give you my
huh?
permission. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Oh, that was sweet. All right, let's see. So, being a small business owner, we know that it's hard to, the marketing is, especially if you're creative, it's really hard to do that on top of everything.
Are you
Um,
sharing?
Not yet. Am I?
Okay, okay.
Oh, okay. Um, and so it's hard to do that on top of everything. So
Right.
for tonight, I wanted to show like kind of like some cheat sheets or some ways
Okay.
that you can get around so that your stuff still looks,
Right.
professional. You don't have to be a professional graphic designer. There's a lot of free software out there.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for most people, the easiest way to start is with Canva. Canva is
Yeah.
amazing. The learning
Yeah.
curve is easy. Um,
Yes.
you can have a free account. You don't have to have the professional account to use a lot of the
Right.
products, stuff like that. So let me see. Look for her. Okay. So So with Evangeline, with her praline business, I know sometimes it's hard when we talk about Elevate, um, the way that your visual looks when we talk about like social media, consistency is important.
Mm-hmm.
The overall like bird's eye view of like how you're like, say you have an Instagram or something like that, like the way the visuals look is kind of important and
Mm-hmm.
make it look a little bit more professional. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard to create visuals each time you need to post something. So one of the
Mm-hmm.
cheats that you can use are like templates. You can
Mm-hmm.
create templates in Canva. You can create
Sure.
templates like for like if somebody's helping you, say you have an assistant or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and just throw words on there so that it's consistent and it speaks to the brand. So colors are consistent, templates are consistent, all those things. Uh,
Sure.
Another thing you can use is like stock imaging. Let me see. All right, am I sharing right now?
Nope, not yet.
Right, so let's share. So I'll just share like some of the product photos we had. So as far as
Okay.
like to share like packaging, like we spoke about her pralines. I know I'm saying it wrong. Pralines.
Pralines.
Pralines
The
are,
New Orleans twist on this pralines.
I'm sorry. But her pralines are like they're more, if anybody, I think of her brand like a See's Candy, where it's like a really like a upscale business and handmade. It's a story behind it, like
Right.
a really touching story behind everything, but she does it herself, handmade and all those things. So we want to elevate like or we want to show like the value in like her packaging, the way things look, the way that the way that she services people. She does packaging, custom packaging for different seasons,
Hmm.
stuff like that. So
So
this
this would be like the ribbon, like that would be on a
yeah, like if she
box.
had like
Okay.
tape on the box and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Just branding for some of this stuff it was also these are some like just stock images that you could use, like say you're
Mhm.
sending out a email
Oh
blast
yeah.
and say
The
you
apron is
have
cool.
these things
Yeah.
on hand, like, hey, let us make your next batch for your next this, that, whatever
Yeah.
it is. So having these things on hand, that looks professional, but it didn't take you to hire a graphic designer to do that.
Right.
So
Right.
some of these
Now,
things,
is that also the logo in the bottom corner of the apron?
yes. So
Okay.
that's their logo
Let's
as
see.
well in the bottom
Okay.
corner. So again, these are just like these are some basically some branded images that she can use when she's sending out email blasts. Like if she were to write from the desk of, Evangel, like you have like a
Okay.
letterhead and stuff like that, that you don't have to actually go out and purchase all these products.
Yeah.
That's a lot to
Yeah.
purchase and to photograph. But there's maybe I could send you a list that you can attach like a link to or something, where I could send a list of like free software, free programs where you can
Okay.
create items. You can just drop your logo in and it does all the work for you. You don't do
Okay.
anything. This does it for you. So again, it's easy to use if you don't have like say a whole marketing department, a whole graphics department, but it kind of speaks to more of what you actually have and what you do. So again, like we
Yeah.
talked about the packaging and just putting it on a bigger scale, or
Yeah. That's
kind
neat.
of like
Yeah.
what she had.
Yes.
And so
Absolutely.
that the same with videos, I'm gonna stop sharing,
Okay.
but the same with videos and stuff like that. Stock
Mm-hmm.
images, stock videos, they have royalty free, where, I think I sent her a video where like they're pouring, the caramel or the toffee or
Uh-huh.
but they're pouring it, and so you can use that but still put your stuff, like put your products,
Okay.
in it and stuff like that. So it
Yeah.
takes it to, you're allowing someone who actually does that work, graphic
Yeah.
design,
Yeah.
video, whatever, and you're utilizing what they do to
Mm-hmm.
elevate your brand and the experience of the person. So you stop them and it's not just like, you know, getting something or having to stop if you don't have it on hand and sharing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily like what you would want to share or to the level you would want to share it. But
Right.
it doesn't take so much work in that. So templates, stock images, the mock-ups, like the apron, the letterhead, the
Mm-hmm.
boxes, all of those are mock-ups. So
Mm-hmm.
it's completely just taking your logo and stuff and putting it in a system, and they build the mock-ups for you so you can find things that um, are based on like your packaging and what you do. Uh,
Okay.
you can actually put your products into pictures. So like I have some like with her pralines on a plate and stuff like that, where you don't have to hire like the model, the this, the that. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
to do staging and image
absolutely.
staging and all of that kind of thing. Yeah,
Absolutely. And so
absolutely.
it's not
Oh,
just
that's
like
good
a
stuff.
flat lay and yeah, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's just for that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the same goes for if it's anything, like any products, services, they have templates for flyers, templates, like for all of those things that you can, when it comes to visual design, there's so many rules, like there's so
Mm-hmm.
many, like the spacing, the color, the negative space, all those things. You're allowing someone who actually knows how to do that to create something for you so
Yeah,
that you don't have to do that part of it. So that's one way to elevate your brand so that your messaging doesn't get lost, because
absolutely.
I've seen so much value in what people do
Mm-hmm.
and it gets lost in the visual. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I know you know what you're talking about, but
Yeah,
visually, if someone doesn't know, they're going to walk, but they're not going to hear it yet because
yeah,
they're going to walk by because of the visual. They don't think it applies to them.
yeah. Um, Okay, someone said aesthetically the product sells itself. Absolutely. And so the other thing I hear you saying too is that a lot of times less is more, because sometimes when we try to add too much, we lose, right?
Yes.
So that's why it's so important. And this is something that, of course, I teach in the coaching and mentoring program, to be precise and concise. And so the more you think through what you have to, and now you may write everything down that is important to you about your brand, about your project or whatever, but you're not going to use everything.
Absolutely.
So not at the same time. And so you learn how to be concise and precise, which helps you from a communication perspective to say the same thing the same way
Mhm.
over and over again, because you're not having to remember 2, 3 paragraphs of information. So
Yes.
contextually, less is more, and then visually, less is more. And so people kind of end up with the image in their mind as opposed to trying to remember content and all of this kind of thing.
Yes.
And it keeps it within context. So
Yes.
that's cool. Any other examples you want to show us tonight, or
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know that we want to do, I
I'm
don't,
just asking if you had another example. If not, that's cool too. I was just checking before we get ready to wrap up. Any questions in the chat about any type of business you may be doing, any type of business you're trying to do, any questions about marketing or your branding, or suggestions on what you may do, color schemes, anything like that. One of the things, while you're deciding if you're going to show us something else, when it comes to books, I know, especially for authors, there's so many different things that's a part of the standard package, and I'm looking to add some more things as time progresses, especially for people who are doing different things on different levels, and that is making sure that they have different marketing pieces. You're not going to put the same thing out at each interval during your marketing launch. So you may have coming soon, or you may
Mhm.
have available or now available, or where it's available at. Um,
Mhm.
your launch is a whole nother piece, that you're branding. Um, okay, so Couture says, I'm in the nonprofit industry. How do I get people invested in just listening to what I'm talking about? Okay,
Okay.
so go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so when it comes to visuals, I think when it comes to like nonprofit and anything that pulls at the heartstrings, putting the people in front of the camera. So putting people, their stories, putting like uh volunteer work, whatever it is, like allowing them. There's another aspect. So templates, mock-ups, stock images, UGC, user generated content. When you're
Mm-hmm.
in like the social or the nonprofit space, getting people stories, like getting people to share,
Mm-hmm.
you can use UGC for any, industry, but that putting people in front of the camera or their story or what you've done, putting how much you've helped people in that
Mm-hmm.
the sentimental part and the emotional part, the story.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people connect with that and they connect with wanting to help that. So whatever messaging
Mm-hmm.
that is something that helps a lot in as far as like the nonprofit industry, if it's for people. Usually in any industry, people
Yeah.
are the
People are
goal.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
People are it.
if you can get that,
Yeah.
people are the goal in
Absolutely.
any industry.
Absolutely.
It's not the
People
product
are
is
it.
nothing. The people are
Absolutely.
always the goal. And
People are it.
so that putting them in front, if we're talking about visually, that is
Mm-hmm.
probably no matter what the nonprofit is,
Yeah.
that's probably like one of the biggest things that
Absolutely.
we do.
Putting it out there, what, because I work with a nonprofit, and letting people see how people are being helped, and what, how they're benefiting from that nonprofit service. How are you serving the people that are part of that nonprofit organization, whether
Mhm.
that's in reach or outreach?
Yep.
Is That's what draws other people in, because they can see themselves either in it, or they can see themselves being a part of it, and being engaging and giving to be a part of that effort.
Yeah.
um, okay, good, Katura, good. I hope I'm saying your name right. Okay, so there was another question. Can you share more about launching ideas and ways to launch?
Ideas and ways to launch. So another tool that I do not feel like we use enough, AI, Chat
Uh-huh.
GPT,
Mm-hmm.
Bar, Gemini, using that,
Mm-hmm.
it can help you. It's like Google gone
On
crazy.
steroids. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so one that's one thing that you can use to really like plan it out. Like you literally can talk to it as if you're talking to a friend, or could just say, act as my business, mentor. I want to do
Mm-hmm.
this, and launch within this time, yada, yada, yada. Um, Content calendars. It will help you create a content calendar for launching. So usually you want to introduce what you're doing. You want to have a build up to it. You want to engage people. So depending on what
Mm-hmm.
it is, like say, like again, we'll talk about Evangeline. She has a new recipe coming out for a new flavor. So just
Mm-hmm.
building that, enticing that. So like, polling, asking people, hey, what do you think the
Yes.
new flavor will be? So all those things. But AI will help you create that. AI will help you
Mm-hmm.
create that. Use it. Use
Yeah.
that. So doing that, putting that out there, the way that you do, like say you have an email list, an email blast, the way using that content, visually enticing people that way, all of those things. So use it, having a
Yeah.
countdown. That's a content. That's something you can
Mm-hmm.
place on the calendar every week, single week. That's one day done. Like,
Yep.
those are things that
Absolutely.
you can do. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. It really, it can be done.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I think, about AI is that, what I'm learning and what I'm seeing from a lot of people who are not really utilizing it is learning how to prompt, how to
Mhm,
utilize the
mhm,
prompts, how to talk
mhm,
to it, and
mhm,
how to ask. So here's the thing. It's AI, right? So
mhm.
ask AI, what kind of prompts would I use
Yeah,
for if I was going to do a
yes,
lunch, and see what it tells you, right?
yes.
And then you can add your own specificities in there, your
Mhm,
own specifics about what your particular thing, but just play with it and give yourself the opportunity to get. And once you learn how to talk to it and how to prompt, you can take, there's even stuff on YouTube. There is a website called mindvalley.com.
mhm,
I
mhm,
did a whole course on AI and how to actually do prompts, how to
mhm,
talk to AI.
mhm,
There,
mhm.
the whole thing of prompt engineering is
It's-
not a college degree.
I
It
know.
is an acquired learn, but they
Yeah.
pay good money for people to be prompt engineers. And
Yeah.
so, it's really just learning what it is. Just talk to it, like you said, and ask it what you want to know. And if it needs to be redefined, it'll tell you it needs more information, or
Mhm,
whatever the case may be. But
mhm,
just get it there and play with it. And whatever it is, if you need a copy editor,
mhm.
act as my copy editor. And
Yes. Yes.
edit this chunk of
Yes.
data, just talk
Yes.
to this following chunk of data includes an email. I like for that email to be,
Yes.
precise and
Yes.
concise, take out any redundancies. I mean, tell it all of that and hit
Mhm.
enter, and it's going to do what you tell it to do.
Mhm.
Same thing. Now, Gemini is a little bit more sophisticated, but not as in depth as Chat GPT, I have learned. But
Mhm.
still, it has you can use them both interchangeably for different
Absolutely.
things.
No, you can. And it's like, it's kind of like exactly what you said, figuring out, act as my marketing director, act as my
Hmm.
this, act as my whatever. You can figure those things out to like, you
Hmm.
can figure out what prompts, like you said, to use to help you
Right.
wherever you need the help. But if you're law, like building a persona for a customer, like say, this is the product I have. I
Yeah.
want it to be at this price point, whatever. Help me build a persona. You'll
Hmm.
know, like,
Yep.
you'll know who your customer is. Now go
Yep.
find them. Like,
Yep.
there's so many ways to leverage it. And that's why I say the barrier to entry with business is so much low. It's like the lowest it's ever been. But because you don't need the information, you need courage to use the information.
Absolutely.
You
That's
need
good.
that. So
Absolutely.
that's where we're
Absolutely.
at right now. So
Absolutely.
work on
So
that.
we got a few more questions. So this is Aisha. She says, I'm just wondering how much posting is too much posting. I follow and buy products from certain companies, but sometimes become overwhelmed with all their postings. Is it better to flood social media for marketing purposes? Um,
I
Now,
think
yeah, go ahead.
go no, you go
I
ahead.
was about to say it depends on your audience
Absolutely.
because different people are on at different times. And when you think people see things they don't, I would say determine a cadence based on, and I think you have to just pay attention to the people who follow you and the people that you're connected to on social media, depending on where you are. So for some people, Facebook, that's your audience. For others, it's IG. For others, it may be LinkedIn. For others, it may be TikTok. It just depends on where you are. But you have to know where you have your largest base and where you get the most response and you connect with people. I would say that's where you would want to place most of your energy,
Absolutely.
because all of these platforms have different audiences and they function in different ways and the algorithms are different on every platform, and so you may be able to go a little bit deeper than that, but that's what I do know just from experience, from myself and then working with clients. And so it just depends on the audience, your audience for your industry, and it depends on where your audience is based on what platform, because they're all different. Your TikTok is more so your Gen Zs for the most part. That's what a
Mhm.
lot of your Gen Zs are going to be. Your millennials and stuff are going to kind of be IG.
Mhm.
Your Gen X is going to be Facebook, so to speak. Then your professionals are going to be LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
most in general, and then YouTube is kind of free for all for anybody. But if you're trying to get that day-to-day content, it just depends on where you are and what platform you have the most um, exposure.
Yes, I think too, I think it depends on, like you said, what your audience is and what are they coming to you for.
Hmm.
Because if you're I saw something that said like there's kind of a ratio to like I forgot what the numbers were, but I know it was like 20% promotion, but that was
Hmm.
it out of the
Hmm.
100% that you post. But if people
Hmm.
are coming to you for entertainment, for encouragement, for all these things, they want to see you more. They want to see,
Hmm.
they want to hear the stories. They want to do these things. So I think that again, depending on what it is, say you have like a mommy blog or like something like that. They want to
Hmm.
see your life, a day in a life. They want to see you
Hmm.
every day. They want to see you all the time. If you're
Hmm.
promoting something, like sometimes they get inundated with it's too much. Like don't keep, if you're selling this, selling that, we don't want to hear all that all the time. It doesn't want to
Hmm.
be doomsday all the time, but also
Hmm.
encouragement. Like say you're speaking to people and you're up your motivation or whatever, they want to hear you a little bit more.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it does depend on like what it is, but I do remember, and I could add it to like some type of resource that maybe you could give out. But I forgot what the ratio was about. I think it was 20% promotion, 40% engagement, like engaging content, and then 40
Hmm.
like teachings or like giving or teaching your audience
Information.
something because it's about
Hmm.
community. They're coming to why
Absolutely.
is your community coming to you? Why do you
Absolutely.
go to the
Absolutely.
store? Why do you go to church?
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
that make it's
What
the
are you
community.
known for?
Yeah. So why
Yeah,
are they
yeah.
coming to you? Hmm.
And what are you known for is your brand. So
Absolutely.
when we're trying to do too many things,
Hmm.
right, all at the same time, to your point, confused buyers don't buy. So
Hmm.
it's like it's like for me, vision, clarity, purpose, all of the things that has to do with an individual, a business owner, or aspired business owner getting clarity and getting their vision of manifestation. That's me,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? That encompasses me as a clarity coach, that encompasses me as a business management consultant, strategic management, the whole nine, project management, organizational management. That's my lane. That's the
Hmm.
lane I drive in. I've driven that lane for years.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm known for, right? So anything that has to do with any of those areas, but I don't try to like teach people how to cook. That ain't my lane. So if I was out here trying to, you know what I'm saying? If I shifted gears like that,
Hmm.
you just can't do, you can do all things, but not all at the same time. And now, not in all in this. It's just like somebody trying to sell chicken and fish, and it's like a Walmart in a restaurant.
Well, it's
You
expensive being Walmart too. So it's like,
right,
yeah,
So it's a lot. So that's a lot to do, and being able to cater to everybody, every audience.
absolutely.
So I think just paying attention to your industry, what it is that you're doing, where your audience is, where you have the most exposure, where you get the most feedback, where you get the most engagement, that kind of thing.
And they'll come looking for you.
They
If they
will.
don't see you and what they're like, hey, no updates,
Hmm.
this, but
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they'll
yeah,
come looking
yeah,
for you. So they'll
yeah.
tell you. So just
Yeah,
listening.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's, to your point again, as we wrap up, it's just about being consistent and really knowing, what it is that you want to go for. And when you're going to step out and do anything on any level, just know that you're starting a business. If you're writing a book, you're starting a business. If you're going to create a service, you're starting a business. So all of these things, you have to really consider the time and the effort that is required of you, in order to help your people to understand what they need from you. And the fact that, this is something that I want to offer people on a
Yeah,
consistent basis. And
yeah,
so the more you do it and the longer you do it, the more you want to elevate your brand.
yes.
And I had to, where I am now is not where I started.
No,
So,
it never is, and that's a
where
good
I started
thing. That's a
was
good
not
thing.
by no means. So, some of the graphics and stuff you see now is not what you used to see
It's a good thing,
when
though.
I
It's
first
a good
started.
thing.
But to your point, I learned how to do a lot of that myself when I first started. I had to pay someone to do every graphic. Had no clue. And so there are a lot of things that I've taught myself. There are some things that I still have, my graphics, team to work on and that kind of thing. But there are a lot of things that I'm able to do myself. And so that helps me as a small business owner as well. So that, if nothing else, when I get to the place that I don't have to do it or I don't need to do it, I know what it needs to look like and I
Yeah,
know what it takes to get it done, right? So that's another thing. So you know what you're paying for, you know that the time you're paying for, and you know the quality that you want. And so whether you know how to do it to 100% is not really the important thing, but that you at least learn to do it to the degree that it helps you to maintain where you are and you have that level of quality that is, for you, it is going to serve your customers well.
yeah.
Um,
And just know what they
yeah,
need to see. What
yeah, and know what they, yeah,
once they see it, what do you want them to do? I need you to
yeah,
see this and then to cue this action. So just know
yeah.
that is, I think, we used to have the elevator pitch, and it's like, yeah, but they
Mhm.
see you before anything comes
Absolutely.
out of your mouth. So and
Absolutely.
now we're just digital, so everyone sees everything now. And that's a part that,
Mhm.
we just got to keep in
Yeah.
mind as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been great. We are so grateful that we had quite a few people that were on tonight sharing with us.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us in the
Got it.
chat and for engaging, for asking questions. This always helps to make it more engaging, make it more exciting, and people learn from your questions. So thank you so much for engaging and being a part of motivation and conversation tonight. We'll be back again next Tuesday. I don't know if Sameerah has some other things she wants to share, but who knows? If she does, she'll be back with me. But if not, I will definitely be back next Tuesday. And I'm always sharing various things about vision and clarity. And
Yeah.
so if in fact she's not with me next week, we'll be talking about the 4 phases of vision. I'm just going to touch on that because that's going to be a part of the Pen to Paper conference coming up in November. But anyway, I want to touch on some things that I think is just phenomenal when it comes to that area. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us for Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. We'll be right back this next Tuesday, right here, same place, same time. We'll be doing the same thing. We'll be having some conversation and some motivation. Thank you so much. We
Thank you
appreciate it. And
guys.
we'll see y'all next week.